Good morning, everyone.
Good
Morning.
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 Just giving everyone a minute to join.
And I'll just say, unless you're driving in a car, unable to do so, put your cameras on so we can see your faces. It's good to make a connection at first.
Okay, we're going to get started. For the sake of time, we want to make sure that we have enough time to share all of the information we have about this awesome program and make sure that we have time for your questions. I do want to let everyone know that we are recording this video. This video can be made, this call can be made available after the fact if you want to share it with anyone else you know who might be interested in the program. And I will be able to share it with anyone who's unable to attend. So I'm Sammy Gowan. I am the Chamber Liaison. I'm a Senior Program Manager here at the Capital Region Chamber, and I am the liaison between the Leadership Capital Region co-chairs and steering committee. So one of the really fascinating things about this program is it is curated fully by alumni. People are continuing to volunteer their time to serve on the steering committee after they graduate from the program to help plan the future classes and the session days that you're going to hear more about. That is a point of pride for us because the program is not copy and pasted year over year. Each year we are evaluating and looking at the content that we are providing and making sure that it is up to date and current with what is going on in the Capital Region today, not what was going on in the Capital Region last year or 5 years ago. And so with that, I'm going to get my screen set up to share and get into our presentation. Our co-chairs for the class of 2025 are here with you to lead this presentation. And we also have some alumni members who are going to be joining to share about their experience. Give me just a moment. Make sure I've got the sound set up. Okay. Yeah. All right. Future class of 2025. We want to thank our founding sponsors, M&T Bank, and our presenting sponsors, CDPHP. We are very grateful for all the support that they provide and keep this program alive. Our mission through Leadership Capital Region is to develop and inspire leaders to serve and strengthen our Capital Region community. And with that, I want to introduce the co-chairs for the class of 2025, Allie Skinner, graduated from LTV in 2016. She is from CDPHP. And Connor Priest graduated from LTV in 2021, and he is hailing from M&T Bank. Allie and Connor, take it away.
Thanks, Sammy. Thanks so much. I'll kick it off, and then I'll turn it over to Connor. But welcome, everybody. It's so excited to see all your faces and the interest in doing LCR. You're finally taking the first step toward what could be a life-changing and career-changing commitment to you. And I don't say that lightly. Again, I graduated in 2016. I served 3 years on the steering committee, and you'll learn a little bit about that throughout this process. But those are kind of the folks that plan all the session days and put a lot of work into preparing this program. And then I got a call from Mark Egan last summerish and asked me to serve as co-chair. And, it was without question that I wanted to do it. And I think that speaks volumes to how much I believe and how much I got out of the program, but then also how much my employer believes as a, presenting sponsor, but then, all of you too, right? So I'm not going to lie. This is an intensive program. It is an immersive program. And it takes up a lot of time, right? So you have session days that are every Friday. We'll talk about that in just a second, but the class project, it's a big time commitment, and it shouldn't be taken lightly. But the fact that you're here and you're thinking about doing it, and oftentimes your employer is very supportive of you doing that. So that's sort of like some of the big things that I wanted to touch on. I thought, coming into this program, I was a journalist before I came to CDPHP and born and raised in the Capital Region. I thought I knew everything there was to know about this community, all the nooks and crannies. I could not have been any more wrong. And the things that I thought that I was going to get out of this program, also completely wrong. And you'll see there are certain session days. There's a community day. There are, nonprofit days. There's healthcare day, government day, all the days that I thought were going to be, this is my thing. It was the days that were completely opposite, the things that I didn't know so much about that kind of blew my mind. So this was a life-changing experience for me. I've been promoted 3 times since graduating this program. So I'm a firm believer, and I'm really excited to introduce our incoming co-chair, Connor, who is also a rock star, not only in his industry, but then also with the LCR program. So take it away, Connor.
Well, thanks, Allie. Really stealing my thunder there with, I'm also born and raised in the Capital Region, went to Ballston Spa and, decided to went away for college, but came back just because the Capital Region has so many great things to offer. And, everything Allie just said rings so true. You think the community until you're in this program, and you're really learning about the partnerships between the for-profits and not-for-profits, how we all work together to create a sustainable place for everyone. And the experientials and the session days, you just get so much out of them, learning about all the different industries that the Capital Region has to offer. Similar to Allie, I was also a committee member and had to plan 3 days for the last 3 years. There's, just something to be cognizant of when you're going through the session days. There's a lot of work that goes into those session days. And Sammy's right. I mean, we really try to keep it relevant and take the temperature of the class, find out what is meaningful to them, and then tailor those days around that so that you're touching on topics that are relevant and that is really current with what's going on in our local economies and nationally. So, Allie, if you want to just kind of walk us through the opening retreat, I think is the first step to the program, and really that's how you get connected with the class in an instant way, and you form those relationships that many of them I still have today from going through the program.
Yeah. Is that what we have, Sam? You controlling the slides?
Yeah, I think we're going to kick it to the video first.
That's right. Yeah, so you can hear us talk about this all day, right? And but it's kind of like, let's hear from folks who have recently been through the program.
Leadership Capital Region is a fun and meaningful way to learn more about the Capital Region, and more importantly about yourself and your leadership style. There was a lot about the region that I thought I knew, and Leadership Capital Region was a great way to go behind the scenes and to take a deeper dive.
When I was thinking about this, back we're of the age where the Real World on MTV, this is our version of the real world, right? You get 40 strangers that you don't know, and you have to work together and create a difference in your community.
I would say Leadership Capital Region is more like lifting communities through relationships. So it's really nice that we're able to help out our community while also building our network and making friends, which is something that it's kind of tough to do sometimes as an adult.
Leadership Capital Region is a networking opportunity that grows both yourself and the community around you, but it's so much more because it is such a wonderful opportunity to engage and kind of do a behind the scenes of the Capital Region.
I am completely in love with this program for a number of reasons, and I went in thinking that this was maybe going to be just a networking opportunity to kind of build the network, maybe get a little bit of actual leadership training, but it's a lot more than that. LCR has been great for me, kind of just educating me about everything that's available in the region, all the different organizations, all the different opportunities to engage with the community.
Leadership Capital Region is an opportunity to grow both personally and professionally with like-minded individuals in the Capital Region. You get to attend experientials and session days, which are focused subject and ideologies that are all aimed at growing you.
Explain LCR as an immersive leadership community experience, because I initially went into it thinking we were going to have a ton of seminars and this is how to be a great leader, and it was so much more about learning about what everything we have around us offers and how we can build that more.
I think we've all realized at this point that it's just as much about leadership as it is about community awareness and promoting advocates for the region. And so I think if you're someone who wants to learn more about the amazing things in the Capital Region, but also wants to be immersed within it, this program is extremely successful at doing that.
Awesome.
Could not have said it better myself. So I think you hear a lot of recurring themes from the classmates, which is super exciting. So this is where it all begins, the opening retreat, right? So it kicks off in early September. This is where you all come together. This is kind of like that real world experience. I'll never forget, when I did the program, we had this opportunity to choose, and you had this questionnaire that you had to fill out, and you had to choose whether or not you stayed in the same room. There's an overnight. Stayed in the same room with a complete stranger. And I was like, there's no way I'm doing that. And then you saw throughout the program how those people who chose to stay together in that room became super tight, and they had this awesome bond. So then I got a little bit of FOMO. I was like, maybe I should have. But I was a real skeptic entering this program, kind of I don't need to make any new friends. I've got a big enough network. I'm not into trust falls. And this is just an opportunity to let your guard down, to meet these individuals that you're going to be spending an almost year-long journey with, and learn a lot about you as a leader, what type of communication style you naturally go to, how that works. So if some of you may have taken DISC assessments, you'll take another DISC assessment before you enter this program. So you learn a lot about you, but then you also learn how you work with other people. I'll say it was fascinating when we got our first look at this year's class, and we realized that we only had 2 Ds in the program. I'm like, oh no, what's going to happen here? But the team is just awesome. And this is also where you start to identify, the different personalities in the group, and what are the things that, folks are passionate about. I often say my daughter hasn't changed since she was 2 days old, from a personality perspective. These folks, we learned so early on, what they were passionate about, what they were going to be interested in. And that has really driven the program throughout its entirety. Every session day we have weaves in all of those things that the class identified as being, super high priorities. And you'll just be exposed to, tremendous guest speakers and fun activities and things like that. It's a cool opportunity to just kind of get away and, get to know the program. And then you have session days, right? So this is every Friday. Each Friday a month has a dedicated session day. It is a full day. So again, it's a big time commitment. It's a good amount of time away from the office. You're, I think, allowed to miss, is it 1 session day, Sammy?
When Allie went through the program, you were only allowed to miss 1 session day, but we have opened up that policy to allow 2 absences.
Okay.
And you can take them in increments of half days if needed.
Yep. But really, you don't want to miss any of them, because I can tell you from start to finish, and having, been through the program, having trained these session days, you're so engaged throughout the entire time that you want to be there. You don't want to be on your phone. You don't want to be, kind of taking calls off the side. You really want to, devote your time and attention to really focusing on this program. The more you're able to do that, the more you're going to get out of it. And you're going to see, again, lots of cool places to throughout the capital region. So now we're going to turn it over to some alumni who I'm super excited to introduce. One of them is my current co-chair, and I'm going to miss terribly next year, and that's Sam. And then we'll also hear from Phil and Myra, who are relatively recent graduates. So we're going to talk about, what they got out of the program.
Great. Thanks, Sally and Connor, and hello, everyone. Happy to be here. My name is Sam Trimboli. I am part of the class of 2019, best class ever, if I do say so myself. I think I'm the first one on the call to actually say that. So, Sammy, I think I need a little gold star. I'm a marketing director for Northeast Shared Services, parent company of Price Chopper, Market 32, and Tops supermarket chains. And as Ali mentioned, I am the outgoing co-chair for this year. So you guys are getting 3 co-chairs for the price of 2. Consider yourselves lucky in that regard. But really, I feel like it's a very hard act to follow after what Connor and Ali shared, and then really the awesome video that our very own Phil here put together. So I'll just be brief and kind of give my impressions, kind of thinking all the way back to the summer, or actually the spring of 2018, when I first was approached to go through this program. So I'm someone who actually, through going through this program, have kind of learned that one of my opportunities in leadership is learning when to say no. But at the time, I didn't really know that. So I was somebody who always would just kind of by default say yes when I was approached to do something new. In this instance, I was really happy that I did. But I was basically approached by our human resources department as like, hey, you're a high potential person. There's this leadership development program. Here's a brochure, back in the days of paper brochures. Would you like to do it? And I was like, yeah, sure, sign me up. And then I thought to myself, well, what did I actually sign up for? And so I kind of went into this thinking that it was going to be a glorified networking program. And I quickly learned that that's not what it is at all. It's nothing against, the business mixers. There's definitely a place for that, but this is definitely not that. It's not people, trying to make a sale or, exchanging business cards, things like that. But you do come out of this with a very robust network that you might not have had before. And it kind of just happens organically over the course of the 9 months. And that all really does kick off with the opening retreat. So it is an overnight, as mentioned. And that's really, it sounds so corny to say it, but you really do end up bonding with these people, 39 other professionals in the area from all these different sectors, different stages of their career, different backgrounds. You get to bond over some, team building activities, but also learning about your personality in the context of leadership. There's a happy hour component, which is usually my favorite part of the day. So that's definitely encouraged. But it's just it was a fun experience, and it was definitely an intense experience, but I came out of it feeling both kind of tired from those 2 days, but also really energized and excited for the year to come. And then in terms of session days, those are kind of like the pillars of the program. As the 2 co-chairs mentioned, really each day is a different theme. And the really cool part about it, from my perspective, is you get to have access to people and places and things that you otherwise would not be able to. One of the the things that people tend to talk about, and I think is a really cool example of this, is on Government Day, we always try to get together a panel of the mayors of the major cities in the area. This past year, it was moderated by Allie. She did an awesome job, and you really get to hear a little bit more candidly from these local elected officials on what they really think about some of the hot topics in the area, and you get the opportunity to interface with them directly. So I just think that's a really cool component of it. And I'm now going to turn it over to our other two alumni, Myra and Phil, to share their experience.
Cool. I'll go first, and hopefully I won't take too much of your time. But hi, I'm Phil Quindera, LCR class of 2023, which was 2 years ago. And I work at CS Arch. We are an architecture and engineering firm, and I'm the director of marketing here. And it was such a great experience going through Leadership Capital Region. One thing to note, and Sam mentioned, I'm the one that pulled together that video that you just saw. So just seeing it again for the first time in many months, really just the warm and fuzzies, just thinking back to last year and going through these experientials, and then hearing Allie and Sam talk about the opening retreat, which brings back memories. Although our class didn't have an overnight, it was a little bit after the pandemic, so we just had two days back to back. But it is such an interesting program for me. The social aspect of it was really interesting. I work in architecture and engineering, and we kind of rub shoulders with the architects and engineers all the time. But it was really cool being in class with people that were in finance or that were in nonprofits, or even, Myra, who's, in the military as well. It was just really good, really getting exposure from just lots of different industries. The different session days are so interesting. Every month, you're literally spending a day at a different topic. But I did want to talk about experientials. So experientials are more of the session days or the full day experiences, where the experientials you sign up for. And there are many of them, and I'm not sure exactly how many you have to do. But one of my favorite experientials was actually at the Air National Guard base with Myra, when we got the tour of the base, and we actually got to sit in one of the C-130 airplanes, which I think is a highlight for a lot of people. Just the ability to do that was just really interesting to me. And I'm like, gosh, I would never get that experience, doing, on my own doing. So it was just really cool. For me, I was the class historian, so I did a lot of video. Actually, we recorded almost 45 minutes of video throughout the whole process. So, like I said, it was just really cool just seeing that video again. And I'm just glad that everybody here is interested in the program. I'm gonna send it over to Mayra to have her give her opinions as well.
Yes. Good morning, everyone. My name is Myra Winnie. When I joined the program, I was part of the 109th Airlift Wing, which is located in Scotia. Had a great time planning an experiential for my classmates. It was almost like my two worlds coming together, and that was a lot of fun. So whenever I hear that people enjoyed that experiential the most, it just tickles my heart. But one thing you may not know is that the military heavily focuses on professional development. And one thing I found and was a great surprise to me is, this is almost like professional development on speed. I personally try to find a form of development for myself, or at least at work, every 6 months. And with this program, it was every month I'm learning and I'm growing in different ways and on different topics. And I'm an Amsterdam native. Lived all around the capital region, and I can definitely echo those sentiments about being my world just being opened up to things and experiences and places and ongoings in the capital region that I had no idea about. And going into it, I had heard it was a great commitment. There's quite a few alumni out of the 109th Airlift Wing. They typically try to send 2 a year. And I absolutely see the value. But I am a go-getter, and in the military world, I essentially do HR. And so in the HR world, I actually was selected as the Air National Guard staff senior NCO of the year this year. And I started a committee for philanthropy. And so I'm a busy person. I have a hard time saying no whenever an opportunity comes up because I essentially don't want to miss something that could help me grow or connections that I could potentially make. But going into this, I was a little concerned about how much I could truly dedicate to the program and our class project, which I heard a little bit about. But you're surrounded by so many professionals, so many strong individuals and leaders in the community that I found that I had the ability to take a step back and not necessarily be that project leader. I went to Penn State for digital media design, and I found that whenever we needed a poster or anything along those lines, I could jump in and I could help in a way that maybe others couldn't, and your other classmates sort of bring that same energy to the project. And so it's actually very easy to move things along. And just quickly on the class project, my class worked with the Connect Center.
Oh, hold on. We're going to get there.
Is it too fast? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
We're going to get there. We're going to kick it over to Connor, and Connor's going to introduce.
We're talking about class
Speaking of class projects
and experientials already. So, but no, I know we just quickly touched on it, but going through the program, in addition to the session days, there's a class project that the class comes together and decides what they're really focused on, and they engage the local not-for-profits through an RFP process, just to really work with the community on a passion project. Just a few examples in the past. The last class built the largest project ever done was a pavilion that was done for the LaSalle School, and that provided outdoor learning space. And this most recent class is working with Girls Inc. on renovating and upgrading 2 rooms. So essentially a cozy cove is being created for an area for the girls to relax and meet with social workers and focus on mental health. And the other room is really focused on girls in STEM. So going through the program, the class gets together, creates a guideline of what they're looking for, and then submits it out to a lot of not-for-profits for their feedback and helping identify a project. I know Myra talked about going through the program when she was at Penn State. She was always a go-getter. I think a cool thing about the program and going through it is that you're really encouraged to take on roles that you wouldn't do in your normal day-to-day. So for Myra, probably taking a step back might have been difficult, but it helps you grow as a leader. I know for me, I don't get involved a lot in the fundraising side of it because that's not really part of my business function. So something I tried to get involved in so that I could really understand everything that goes into creating a class project. So there is a lot of growth opportunities, and I really just encourage you to be uncomfortable, step out of your comfort zone. Don't just go into the roles that you naturally do in your day-to-day business. Really try to take on a different role so you can try to grow through that. And then in addition to the class project, there's also experientials, and every class, you go to these not-for-profits or businesses and you get an inside look into those operations. It's really a way to tour facilities that you might not otherwise have access to. Unfortunately, my class was during COVID, so I did not get to do the Air Force flight, which is a very popular experiential. But I know from speaking with other classes, you can go to Price Chopper and Dee Crescenti's distribution center to really learn about the day-to-day operations. I personally really enjoyed the Mohawk Humane Society tour, and I really think the experientials are important too, because when you're going through the program, I know in the past we do a lot with the LaSalle School, and David Wallace was part of the session days, and that turned into an experiential where the class was really passionate about what they heard from David, who's a speaker. So going through the program, if there's any speakers during the session days that really come off as someone you'd like to learn more about, Sammy's great at coordinating and setting up additional experientials so that you can kind of really focus on what the class is passionate about. So I'll just turn it over quickly to our alumni committee. I know Myra, if you want to jump right back in, I know you were talking about the class project. If you want to give a little bit more insight on your experience.
Yeah, so we had quite a bit of options as far as what our class project could potentially be. And we chose the Cohoes Connect Center and sort of voted on that. There were lots of different options as far as how to get involved, from finance to project management, to acquiring items, to fundraising. And one thing that I found was incredibly beautiful is several of our classmates, Phil and I were part of the same class. Several of our classmates are actually on the board for the Connect Center now. And so, the Leadership Capital Region class might have been 1 year, but there are ways to get involved and stay involved in the community and in some of the projects that we complete.
And just to jump in on that same note, the class, many of them, even ones who aren't on the board, are continuing to volunteer with the Connect Center to bring their, employer and their peers in to volunteer there. And the Connect Center has a wonderful fundraiser in the summer called Tacos for Life. And Tacos for Life this past summer felt like a class of 23 reunion, because almost the whole class was there, whether they were volunteering or they had bought a ticket to come and attend the fundraiser. It was awesome. It was so good to see everyone.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, just love getting involved at the Connect Center. I feel like the class project is really where the class comes together, right? And that's where the rubber hits the road, and you're literally involved on almost daily basis, thinking about the project, and so it definitely takes a huge time commitment. But I think in the end, like the results, as Mira just described, is just amazing. Getting involved further. So the Connect Center, the class project, is such a big part of the experience. It's huge.
Yeah, and I would definitely echo everything that Phil and Myra said. And from my perspective, I was definitely in a unique spot being the co-chair for last year's class, for Phil and Myra's class too. I got to kind of look at it from an outsider's perspective, having gone through it myself back in class of 2019. And it is really interesting to see how the different classes approach their class project. And I think that's maybe the best part of it all, to see, because you're equipped at the front of the program, you learn all about how you communicate, collaborate, and lead. And then it's up to you to kind of then utilize that learning in actually trying to get something done. And in my opinion, having that class project makes it a lot more tangible. It's not just an abstract, we sat down and did this workshop one day. All right, I'll never revisit this. You actually do revisit it. And it really does come out like, all right, I know Allie mentioned about how in this year's class, we only have 2 Ds. And if you go through the program and take a DISC assessment, you'll know what that means, but it means something. And it's been very interesting to see how the lack of that specific personality type has then played out in how this class is putting together the project.
Yeah.
Not a bad thing, just a different thing. And I'll just say, like, in terms of the experientials, the way I like to think of those is it's almost like adult field trips. So like it's a smaller group of your cohort. It's usually like 8 to 12 different people. And it's again, another great opportunity to get to know your fellow classmates, but also you get that intimate behind the scenes look at all these different places. I know Connor mentioned the Price Chopper Distribution Center. So I've worked for Price Chopper Market 32 and all of its different iterations for almost 20 years now. I started when I was 15 years old in the store. And I had never really, I had been to our distribution center, but I work in marketing. So there's really not usually a whole lot of crossover there. So I actually did that experiential, and I got to learn a lot more about the company that I work for. So I just think it's really cool. And then just in general, getting an appreciation for this area. I also grew up in the area, and I now feel coming out of this that I am much more informed about what does go on here and what's great about this area. And I'm well equipped to be an ambassador for the region. And the one last thing I'll just touch on is I know it's been mentioned multiple times that it's a time commitment. It definitely is a time commitment, but it's time well spent, this program. So I was in your spot, all of you, at this time back in 2018. I applied, I went through the program, graduated in 2019. I was then asked to stay on and serve on the steering committee. So I did that for another 3 years. It's that the steering committee is a 3-year term. Then after the steering committee, I was asked to stay on to be co-chair for another 2 years. And so now I think I've done it all. I think I beat LCR. I beat every level. So that's basically the end of my time with this program in this capacity is coming up with graduation in June. And I am honestly so sad about it. I'm going to miss it. I don't know what I'm going to do to film this time that has been devoted to this program for 5-6 years.
6 years consecutively.
Yeah.
You'll be on the alumni committee.
I know, yeah. But the reason I bring that up is that I am someone who now, after going through the program and learning more about who I am, I know that like I'm not going to sign up for something unless it is a valuable use of my time. And it has been such a valuable use of my time. Like I still get so much out of this program. Just the connections I've made, like it's definitely helped me in so many ways I can't even name. Like I sit on 2 different boards now. I feel very comfortable just like if I need something, reaching out to this network I've made over the past several years. And I can honestly say if I didn't go through this program, I don't know if that would be the case. So highly recommend, 10 out of 10.
Thanks, Sam. And I just want to share about the class project. The chamber has some guidelines that are set out about the project for the class to follow, but it really is where I think Phil said it, this is like where the class comes together. It really solidifies the bond that you've built even further because together the class navigates those guidelines. And it's really where the leadership skill comes in because you have to navigate this large scale project together as a group of 40 and come to a consensus to move all of the initiatives, all of those moving pieces that create, a completed project. And you figure out how to do it together as a group because our guidelines are a little loose and they're loose on purpose because we want you together as a class to figure out the way forward. And with that, we're going to move on to talk about our commitment to DEI. We are looking to diversify this program, not only from like a cultural standpoint, but from an industry standpoint. In the past, if we looked at the class, there may have been years where half of the room worked for a nonprofit and half of the room was in the private business sector or banking. And we really are looking for people from unique backgrounds to come and have a voice at this table and go through this program. We are proud to say that the class of 2024 is the most diverse class, we believe, that has gone through the program. This program has been in existence since the 80s. We claim alumni all the way back to the 80s when the program was called Capital Leadership Schenectady, and then we transitioned the program to be called Leadership Tech Valley. So you may hear a lot of people say LTV. And now last year, graduating class of 23 was the first class, best class of Leadership Capital Region. So we are looking for people that bring unique perspectives, unique life experiences, and diverse industry perspectives to come and apply to the program. And once you graduate, you're an alumni for life. We have an amazing alumni committee that is committed to raising scholarship funds for future class members in need. They plan happy hours that happen after the session day. You can see Jason Schmidt right here in the middle. He's from Chrysophilia. He is the new incoming alumni committee co-chair. He's running the raffle at a happy hour. We usually raffle off like a gift card to the restaurant or bar that we're at. And all of those funds go towards our scholarship fund. Last year, the committee was able to raise $2,000 and the chamber matched that $2,000. So for this year's graduating class, we were able to distribute $4,000 in scholarship to not committee members, to incoming class members in need. And they also plan volunteer events. You can see the other pictures are alumni members coming together to give back to the community. It's a great way to stay engaged and to volunteer alongside people from other classes. And these volunteer and happy hour opportunities are open to all alumni, not just people that serve on the committee. All right. And with that, unless anyone wants to share anything about, anyone on the call want to share about alumni committee or the DEI work that the chamber is doing.
Hey,
Phil serves on the alumni committee, so maybe Phil.
Yeah, I was gonna say, after you graduate, but yeah, you could still get involved in. So I have been on the alumni committee for quite a bit now, and it is interesting because now I'm sort of networking with past classes, so it's huge, like amount of people that I don't know that have shared that same experience. So you could, that's just great from a networking standpoint to build that network. You have, I don't know if it's thousands or probably hundreds of people that have graduated through this program. So I think that's a great thing. So.
And that continued involvement too is like Myra is serving on the steering committee. So Myra was a part of planning a government session day this year, and she'll serve 2 more years on the steering committee. That is a 3-year commitment. After you graduate from the program, you're eligible to be invited to join the steering committee and stay involved. So multiple ways to stay involved after graduation. But first we have to get accepted into the program. So we want to open it up to questions. We've got about 15 minutes here. So please come off of mute and ask us any questions that we may not have covered. Anyone?
What's the cost of the program?
The program is, let me pull it up. We've got 3 different rates. We've got a chamber member rate, and we have a non-member rate, and we also have a small nonprofit rate. I'm sorry, I don't have it right in front of me, but I believe that the highest level is $3,000 for a non-member, and then it's like $28,900 for a chamber member, and then $26.50 for a small nonprofit, roughly around there. And those rates are posted on our apply page on the website.
And the application process is already open, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Sammy, when did the interviews get started?
I'm sorry?
I said, when did the interviews process get started?
So applications close Friday, May 3rd, and then the interviews will start, I believe, mid-May. So once your applications are received, we will open up. Last year I used a Sign Up Genius. Every applicant who applies does have a 30-minute interview with myself, Allie, and Connor. Those interviews are usually virtual. If you would like to do an in-person, you are welcome to request an in-person interview. Yeah. And so once the applications close, we'll get that Sign Up Genius set up and send it out to everyone who has applied, and you can book your time with us.
I have a quick question. Are the session days, do they run from September to the following June, or are there any breaks because of holidays or anything like that?
There are no breaks.
Okay, so they run straight from the beginning of the program to the end.
Yeah.
Okay.
Total of, is it 7 or 8, Sammy?
It is 8, not including opening retreat.
Yep.
Is anybody nervous, on the fence still, or any fears we can help allay? Everyone's ready to jump in head first. Love it.
I'll just say I have a very, very busy and demanding job, and it seems almost impossible to fit this in, but I do. So I think it's about the time that you're willing to make for it, and just show in Sammy doing the 6-year straight run. That's insane. I always took a year or two off in between, those different opportunities. But I think it just speaks volumes to like the folks who have been through the program, how much we believe in it. And even if you have a very busy job, it's very doable and it's worth it.
Let me amend my answer. I was close, but not quite. A non-member is $3,100 tuition. Sorry, that's a member. A non-member is $3,600, and a small community-based nonprofit, we're talking 5 employees or less, is $2,500. And just to touch on the time commitment, just know that as part of the application process, there is a page that requires your employer to sign and approve that you are going through this program. And that signature is acknowledging that they are permitting you the time to go through this. We shouldn't be using our personal days to attend session days, right? This is time that is allowed from your employer. We want them to support you going through this. Because it's an investment in you and your leadership. And it's going to pay them back tenfold with everything that you're going to get out of it. I will just say that the application process has changed this year in that in the past it was a fillable PDF. This year it is an online fillable form that's from the Chamber's database. So it is different. In the past you would have to like print out your PDF and mail it in, where I really was looking forward to automating processing all of this data. So this, when you complete your application, it automatically submits. So when you go through and you're ready to start going through the application, just note in the very beginning, it tells you all of the documents that you need to have ready to go, because this form does not allow you to save and return. So you really want to have everything ready to go when you start the application process. So you can upload all of the necessary documents while you're building inside that survey. Oh, I see someone brought something up in the chat. We are working to set the dates for the retreat and our monthly session days. Connor, Allie, and I will review and confirm those dates, and we will make them available to all of you before the applications close so that you all know. Again, remember, we've got the attendance policy that allows you to miss 2 days if needed, and it is mandatory to attend the overnight retreat. Typically, a session day is the 3rd Friday of the month. Now, sometimes because of the way holidays fall or other things going on in the community, that date might change, but that is usually the target Friday, is the 3rd Friday of the month.
Yeah, and Sammy, I think it's worth really reiterating that the opening retreat is mandatory. There is flexibility throughout pretty much the rest of the program, but the opening retreat is mandatory.
Yeah.
So like when you see that, and if those dates don't work, unfortunately, that means
you're waiting until next year.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
We do this every year. So
right.
if this year doesn't work out, you can certainly apply next year.
Right. And it's not, us being sticklers. It's just that there's so much that does happen in those first 2 days that really are integral for the rest of the program, that if you're not there for both days, you're going to just be missing out. So,
yeah.
How many can get accepted?
Sorry, what was that?
How many can get accepted, or how large are the class sizes?
I think it's typically a class of 40. Yeah.
Last year we accepted 42 and we declined 8 applicants, I believe. And we strongly encourage people who have been declined to reapply the following year. I think that really shows some leadership courage and tenacity, right? That you don't always get something on the first try, and the willingness to return to the table and try again is really, really important.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions?
Hope to see you all in the interview process.
All right, well, thank you so much, everyone. We'll give you 5 minutes back to your day. Just remember, applications close Friday, May 3rd at 5 p.m. You need to have all of your documents attached and ready to go and uploaded into the system. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to myself, Connor, or Allie. We are here to help and support you along the way.
And Sammy, do they have all of our contact information?
They were all on email yesterday that shared out the link. So everyone was blind copied, but
Okay.
Connor and Allie, you were right on there. And I'm happy to share it out again if anyone needs it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And just a quick thanks to Sam, Phil, and Myra for sharing their insight and taking some of their time just to give back. So appreciate you guys staying involved.
No
Yeah.
problem.
Happy to do it.
Have a great day,
Take care,
everybody.
everyone.
All right.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.